The network itself requires minimal structure. Messages are broadcasted on a best effort basis, and nodes can leave and rejoin the network at will, accepting the longest proof of work chain as proof of what happened while they were gone. Satoshi Nakamoto. Welcome back to What is Your Bitcoin Story with your host Gigi. Today we have a remarkable guest joining us, Carolyn Chadwick. Caroline is a dynamic individual with a passion for empowering women in both their financial and personal lives. As a mother of two sons and residing between UK and the Netherlands, Caroline's journey encompasses a diverse array of experiences. She's the founder of Bitcoin for Queens, a platform dedicated to demystifying Bitcoin for women and providing a guidance for those interested in jumping down the rabbit hole themselves. Since 2018, Caroline has been deeply involved in the world of Bitcoin, advocating for its accessibility and importance in financial freedom. Beyond her work in the Bitcoin space, Caroline is also a KonMari consultant, helping women achieve harmony and organization in their homes and finances alike. At 58, she's a testament to the power of lifelong learning and reinvention. Through her online academy, available in both English and Dutch, Caroline merges her expertise in Bitcoin with her passion for minimalist, organized living. She believes in empowering women to embrace financial independence and understands the vital role Bitcoin can play in securing their futures. With her unique blend of financial acumen, lifestyle design, Caroline embodies a holistic approach to women's empowerment. Join us as we delve into Caroline's fascinating journey and insights into navigating the world of Bitcoin with confidence and clarity. Caroline, welcome to the show.
Wow, Gigi, what an amazing, beautiful introduction. I couldn't have done it better myself. Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much for the praises on the introduction. I do try to do my best to hype up the guests so they feel comfortable and they feel enlightened to kick off the podcast.
Yeah, totally. So far away.
So perfect. So I'm sure you're familiar with the podcast. You mentioned right before the recording that you've listened to some of the other episodes. So I guess you know what question is coming next. As we do with all other guests, we ask the big question, what is your Bitcoin story? So Caroline, can you share with us your journey into the world of Bitcoin and how you became so passionate about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, okay, so I have to rewind back to 2018 or probably before that as well. Unfortunately, I got divorced. It wasn't a great divorce. I ended up with literally not a lot. And I was moving all my stuff was in boxes. And yeah, I just thought, okay, what am I going to do? I'd heard of Bitcoin. I was super intrigued. I didn't have anybody really tell me about it. I just heard it through the grapevine. And then I went online, did some research, and I thought, wow, if I can get my hands on this, that would be amazing. But of course, I didn't have a lot of money lying around or anything that I could sort of, put into Bitcoin. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? And perchance, I stumbled across Marie Kondo's method of tidying and decluttering all of your stuff and your life. And I thought, hey, that's perfect, because I had lots of stuff and I wanted to get rid of things that no longer spark joy in my life. And that's her motto. You only keep what sparks joy. So off I went and, sold stuff online, and I went to a jeweler, broker, and sold jewelry. And everything that I then gathered was kind of, okay, this is a nice amount of money. What am I going to do? So, and I'd heard also, picked up, okay, they just had the bull run. I didn't really know about that at the beginning. I was a newbie, but I heard, all right, buy the dip. And I thought, okay, great. Now, I either can leave that money and melt, on my savings account and have it melt away, or I could waste it away, spend it on stuff, or I'm going to go all in on Bitcoin with that, what I sold. So I did. I jumped and got an exchange, just went ahead and did it. And I didn't tell anybody really about it. I was kind of, because I think I might have told
Incognito.
people incognito. So, because I thought, well, people are going to think I am totally crazy. But yeah, I so believed in it. I don't know why. It was a deep, deep knowing, like a gut instinct or intuition. And I thought, I need that. And if it's going to do what they say it's going to do, happy days. So, and here I am, happy days. And
And the days get happier, right? We're right at the time of the recording. We're less than 48 hours before the
yeah,
fourth halving, so we're entering the fifth epoch of Bitcoin. So those happy days are about to get happier, Caroline. So
again,
I,
yes.
it's fascinating in your story how kind of you really entered, right? You got the dip, right? Which kind of is call it the ideal time, air
Yes.
quotes, done. And some people, they entered at the all-time highs of the 69K of the previous bull run. And then it must have been a very kind of, especially if you don't know too much about Bitcoin and if you don't do your homework and study, you're kind of thinking, wow, what did I do? And most people that get in at 70,000 probably sold on the way down, maybe even at the close to the dip at 20,000. But yeah, talk about timing wise, which I say kind of my ethos in life is timing is everything. You got to be at the right time, at the right place with the right people, but in this case, with the right technology. And then you get kind of the ultimate goal achievement. So it's fascinating that you kind of how your life turned and from a bad event, as you said, going through a bad divorce, losing nearly everything, to finding yourself and decluttering and entering the Bitcoin space. Wow, it's very inspiring.
Yes, totally. So for me, of course, then I didn't talk about it a lot to other people because I said, it's nothing, it's going to die, like we always hear. I don't know, there was this deep inner belief and knowing. I thought, no, 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 no. And I just held on and I kept swirling little bits, like you do your dollar cost average when you can. And I started following YouTubers from America just to gain the knowledge and go on Twitter, now X, of course. And yeah, started learning as I was going along and reading, of course, the Bitcoin Standard and,
the Bitcoin Bible book.
Exactly. I said, well, if in doubt, go and read the Bitcoin Standard, and it's published in so many languages these days. So yeah, so I just did my homework and taught myself through the help of others who were already in the Bitcoin field and down the rabbit hole. And then come 2020, when COVID happened, and I remember good friends of ours, they were visiting us in England, and we'd gone to London, and England was almost going down into lockdown. And of course, the market completely crashed. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? What's going on? And I thought, everything was like tumbling down. And I said, oh, my Bitcoin. And my friend said, oh, sell it. I said, no, don't sell it. Buy the dip. And I said to my friend, you listen, buy the dip. And she didn't dare do it, right? And she regrets, of course, to this day that she hadn't listened to me then. And then, of course, the bull run started and it started going up and everybody could feel the euphoria. And women around me were feeling my euphoria. So I was in like a business community and they kept seeing that I was looking at my phone. And I said, what's going on? And I said, my Bitcoin is just shooting to the moon. So they said, right, what you have, we want as well. And my other friend said, yes, as of now, I'm just going to listen to you. And that's the birth of Bitcoin for Queens. Other women wanted it. And yeah, I had a business coach and he said, yeah, you just got to start building an online community and an online academy. So I've made loads of videos explaining what Bitcoin is and how to get in and, exchanges and hard wallets and taking it off the exchanges. And yeah, so
Amazing. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, Carolyn. That was my next follow-up question that I wanted to ask you. What inspired you to kind of start Bitcoin Queens, and you answered that yourself through the journey, which is amazing. As
Yeah,
as you said, kind of, it's very contagious when people around you see that kind of, initially I had a similar case where people thought, Gigi was cuckoo for going all in into Bitcoin and just talking Bitcoin all day. But then they
mm,
realized that I wasn't a tin hat boy, that actually, there is some truth in it. And then later on, kind of people wanted to know more about it. And, the next step, once you kind of save yourself, once you get on this life raft, the next
yeah,
mission is to try and get as many people as well kind of out of this crippling system and help them out. Because
yeah,
I think the
yeah,
only way for us humanity to prosper is to help out each other, which in the current legacy system, as we call it, everybody's on their own. It's kind of a rat race, you just follow your own thing. Who cares about the neighbors? Forget the community and everything.
mm,
And in Bitcoin, it's the total opposite. It's all about helping out each other. Because if I help my fellow Bitcoiner, we all win, um, and
exactly.
and it's a much more kind of enticing and kind of how should I say it? It's like a camaraderie, where everybody sees the same thing. You have the same mission. It's not about my Bitcoin's better than your Bitcoin, or my car's better than yours. It really humbles you, which is another thing that people may think, Bitcoin is just for speculators and gamblers,
Mm,
trying to make a
mm,
buck.
mm,
But when
mm,
you go deep in, you forget about making the buck. As the saying goes, you come for the money and then you stay for the revolution. I truly
yeah,
relate to that because, funnily enough, of course, we all want to make money, and most people, including myself, we
cool.
came in, to make some extra income for our families. But then once you get in, you realize I'm not selling my Bitcoin, and the further the story goes, you realize no, 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 and whenever
No
the,
way.
whenever the markets are tumbling, people also get these messages in DMs, and they're like, "Oh, Gigi, shall I sell now and buy lower?" I go, "No, no, no. The only thing you're gonna do, you're gonna wreck yourself. You're gonna sell, and then Bitcoin's gonna explode, and then you're gonna be biting your lip. Why did I sell?" So, as you
Yeah.
said, Caroline, the best strategy is just DCA, dollar cost average, whatever you can, every month or every week, as crazy as you are,
Mm,
and then
yeah.
slowly just stack them sats, and you're never going to be in a negative. You're always going to be in a profit.
Yeah, exactly. So in the Bitcoin for Queens, I have videos because a lot of women, and this was kind of like a little bit of a follow up. So I started Bitcoin for Queens, and then of course COVID, we were all sitting at home, nobody was allowed to go out. So Clubhouse, do you know Clubhouse,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
app
yeah. I
where
remember
you could,
Clubhouse.
yeah.
There was a period
So
when everybody was talking about Clubhouse and trying to get in.
exactly, we were all into Clubhouse because that's how we all communicated, and we just talked about all kinds of topics. And I set up Bitcoin Cafe. I know there's Cafe Bitcoin, but I set up Bitcoin Cafe, and it was like for Dutch people.
Hmm.
People, women were just piling on in there. And over the months, they started to trust me. They got to know my voice. And there were women DMing me and saying, right, you need to help me. Can you help me get over the fence? Because you're already on the other side of the fence. And
Hmm.
because it was for them quite a male world, they felt very overwhelmed. And I suppose I was at the time being the bridge between that world because I'm quite nerdy. I always remember friends saying, "Oh, Carrie, you're always on the computer and you know how things work quickly." And I mean, I just like it. So they started to trust me, and I think things are built on trust. And if I can do it and show women, I sleep really well at night, um, and yeah, at least own some. You've got nothing to lose. If it's just sitting there in your savings account in
Hmm.
10 years, that's just worth nothing. It's melting away. You're being robbed. Yeah.
Very true. You also mentioned, Caroline, kind of an important word there, trust, right? Which in the current system, everything's built on trust. And, the fiat system essentially is all built on trust. It's backed by absolutely nothing. It's trust in
Mm,
the government, trust in the bank that this 20 pounds sterling or 20 euros or 20 Japanese yen will get
yeah.
me this 20 worth of something. But in Bitcoin, it's a trustless new revolution where I don't need to trust anyone. The system, basically, you set up your own node, you're your own central
Exactly.
bank. You don't need to ask no permission, no trust. It's funny how yet we trust each other even more within a trustless society, right? What an
Mm.
oxymoron. But yeah, I think for someone to kind of really listen to you, you need to build that trust. And you know that the saying goes, it can take you 15 years to build your trust, and it takes you 5 minutes to lose it,
Oh, doesn't
right?
it? Yeah.
And then
Mm-hmm.
we've seen a lot of people in the industry, not to mention the SBFs of the world and whatnot, which we thought, oh, you know, as they called them, the
Mm.
crypto prince. And then this crypto prince is
Yeah.
doing 25 years in jail now in Brooklyn. So times can change real fast. And then I
Mm.
guess, yeah, I find it fascinating, which you mentioned, kind of the place still, I believe, is very male dominated, and we need that female presence because, like in all things in life, there
Mm.
should be a balance. It's never too good
Exactly.
to have too much of something, and in this case, having too male testosterone on Bitcoin, Twitter, gets very
The
explosive very
world in
fast,
the
and
world.
in the world as well at large. Yeah, so. Could you share, Carolyn, kind of with your experience, what are some misconceptions or fears that women have about Bitcoin, and how do you address those? Like how do you make it easier for them from
Yeah.
your life?
Well, they're scared of that it's too technical. Like,
Okay.
they need to really understand what it's all about.
They need a
And I
computer
said,
science
no.
degree.
Yeah, they think they need a computer science degree. They think they need to be nerdy. They're a bit scared of, okay, and where am I putting it and can I get access to it? So women want it easy, or the women who invest, there are loads of women who've got money to invest, but they're just scared of, okay, and where does it go and how is it? And I just take the thing out of that. I just simplify it for them and say, hey, listen, if I can do it, you can do it too. And there it's really safe. And we have, workshops to show them how to eventually get it off the exchange, because we always say, not your keys, not your coins.
Correct.
But it has to be easy for women. So as you guys develop more stuff and more stuff, we're hoping that something eventually for us, I mean, not for me personally, but for a lot of the women, it will become easy. That it's like opening a bank account, and that's how I say it.
Much
Not
easier
going to,
actually than opening a bank account
yeah,
today with all the
it is,
AML laws and proofs of
yeah,
everything. Proof of
yeah,
what dog food do you
whatever.
give to your dog, right? It's a
I
bunch of
know, I know.
questions.
Yes. So it's, yeah, I think it's the overwhelm of everything out there. And of course, there's lots of YouTubers. I mean, we all know them, the scammers or the shillers. And then there's lots of seduction. So where do they start? Who can they trust? So yeah, so it's basically they think, oh, it's not a woman's world. And I believe that, yeah, it's time for us women to take our share, our part. So I encourage women to get as close to 0.01 Bitcoin, so become
A
a
million
Satoshi
sats.
millionaire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and get close to that, and then build from there, and keep stacking your sats. So yeah, and then
Well, that's
that.
the first step. You need to get some Bitcoin to do something with it, right? Then just speculate on the side and watch it.
Yeah, and then they can see it grow. And, I've had women come in, of course, in the peak. And I said, listen, nothing goes up in a straight line. It's going to, you're going to also feel the pain. So they went through the pain, and that's a side that is part of it. And I say that to them as well. It's not just, there's that cartoon drawing of what people think it's like owning Bitcoin, but what it's really like is the
There's
ups
a
and
lot
the
of
downs, and
bumps and humps along the
yeah,
way.
and the wind and the water, and of course, because she's still really new. She's only been around. I like calling her a she. she's still only been around for, since 2009. Look at
Yeah,
the amazing.
15 years. But how far we've come to be
How
at
fast.
the moment of the recording. I mean, Bitcoin's in the top 10 of the highest market cap currencies in the world, which is
Exactly.
insane.
Yes.
Imagine, Caroline, the next 5, 10, or the next 15 years. Well,
Mm.
hopefully, if the cards play out right, in 15 years, it'll be the number one, not just
It'll be the
currency, but
number.
asset in the world. And
Exactly.
it's a
Yeah.
matter of when, not a matter of if, because nobody's stopping it. It's too late for any government, any group, no
Yeah.
one to stop it.
It's unstoppable. I often play on my Instagram account. I often play the song by Sia, "Unstoppable." That is just so up there with it. She's just, I'm unstoppable. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I like also, Carolyn, that you refer to Bitcoin as a she. Then, well, I mean, I'm not saying it's a he, but it's who knows. What if? Did you ever think that maybe Satoshi Nakamoto was a woman?
I like to think of Satoshi as a mixture of men and women, kind of a
Nice.
blend. Yeah. It's a blended coming together of the male and the female energy. And when they come together, when the male and the female come together, magic happens, right?
Yeah. They
If they're all at
They
peace.
planted the Bitcoin seed, and here it is.
Exactly. Oh, it gives me goosebumps, really. Yeah. And I'm so for women to, I could shout it from the rooftop, really. Just put some in, even if it's, €50 or $50 or £50, or however much you can miss, in Africa and other countries in South America where, they struggle so big time.
Yeah.
And start,
You need to get off zero. I had one guest recently who he was kind of, he mentioned this quote many times, get off zero. And I really liked it because you need to get off zero. And as you said, Caroline, even if it's €50 or $50, that's today not going to get you much. It won't even get you a dinner for you and your partner. So, you can sacrifice that $50. Like, the personal advice I've been giving to my social circle and people that follow me is, every paycheck that you get, and especially the nomads and the freelancers who get several different sources of income, put 5 to 10% of every single income into DCA. That 5 to 10% is definitely not going to change your lifestyle. You're not going to be eating pot noodles for the rest of the month, hopefully. And in the long run, this 5 to 10% that you're allocating will go a long, long way, and you will become financially free. So, the small sacrifice that you take now and miss that one dinner or that whatever you buy, I don't know, your t-shirt mania or whatever it is, put it towards that. Or then even like bigger purchases, instead of buying the latest iPhone, the latest whatever, put those $800, $900 into Bitcoin, and it'll be much better. And you'll still be happy with the old phone because it'll still do this exact same things. It might not have a new nice shiny metal, but get a cover for $5 on Alibaba and you'll have a new phone, right? And just be smart with it. And what I like, what Bitcoin really changes in you, this time preference, right? Instead of spending now, it's more saving and questioning, do I really need to make this financial commitment now? Or should I just wait for later? And by stacking Bitcoin, everything does get cheaper instead of saving in fiat, which everything gets more expensive. And as you perfectly said, Caroline, that your savings bank account is melting away. Your purchasing power is, evaporating every day that goes by.
Yes, and this is also, it's a nice kind of little bridge to the KonMari, because I became a KonMari consultant, so I was trained by Marie Kondo. So I say, if people say, but I don't have any money, I said, all right, you must have clutter in your house, and be aware that clutter is sleeping money. So if you wake that all up and you sell some stuff, and even, if it's worth $50 or whatever, sell it and use that to invest, because it was sleeping in your house anyway. So, and it's also the long time preference, and it's also, how do I spend my money? So by clearing up your life and decluttering and being surrounded by beauty, and Bitcoin is beauty as well,
Yeah.
it's empowering. It gives you energy. It gives you a new leash of life kind of thing. And come on, we all have clutter lying around.
Oh, yes,
Even
we do.
me, I have to empty whatever. But you think again about, am I going to spend it on this, or am I going to keep it, put it aside, and buy Satoshi for it?
Yeah.
Hey, it's a no-brainer, right?
When you put it like that, essentially we all have Bitcoin lying all around our house on shelves and everywhere, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
That's a very nice
You
to
can
put it.
donate, but you can also sell, and that money can grow for you. You're creating, building generational wealth for you in the future and your offspring.
Through the crap that you have just lying around, may I say, right? Crazy.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Turning junk into digital gold sounds like some good advice that you listeners should take. So I guess one takeaway, well, at least one takeaway from this episode is after the episode, go around, look at your house, declutter, sell it, and stack sats, because there's no better way to do
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And
Yeah.
there's even, I mean, well, there you go. And Caroline's a living example of it. So it could be as an inspiration to you. And, there's even, I believe there's, well, more than one. I know there was one website that came online some 5 years ago where you could sell your stuff that you don't need for sats directly to people. And I'm sure in 2024, there's more than one website. So instead of you just selling it for fiat and converting and everything, do some research. Like we always tell, the more research you do, the wiser you get. So I'm sure you can find some websites where you can put all of your clunk on and sell it directly for sats and make that transition even easier. But
exactly.
Going back to another, Caroline, that you mentioned, kind of Bitcoin giving you this beauty and kind of this hope in this world, which is super chaotic. And I wouldn't even reference it to a circus, because a circus starts and finishes in 1 hour, and then that's it. You're back to your life. But this kind of world affairs that we're going, and I don't like going into the whole topic of wars and geopolitics and stuff, but it's pure insanity. And to me, if I didn't have Bitcoin, it would be a very, very sad reality. So Bitcoin not only gives you financial freedom, but it gives you this kind of motivation to wake up every day and be a better person and enjoy essentially the things you want to do. And Bitcoin really does open up these chakras in your body where it really does transform you to a better human, maybe husband, wife, father. It To me, that's the most powerful thing. And then of course the monetary aspect, gives you freedom to purchase, to travel wherever you want. But the best thing is it changes you as a person, which I think we definitely need more of, especially where we find ourselves at the moment as humanity.
Yeah, exactly. And if people become more aware of their spending, what they spend on food as well, we'd become healthier, and, be less obesity,
Yeah.
because, that's the change that Bitcoin brings about within you. You live a more positive life. Your attitude towards life changes, and it lifts you up. It's empowering, and I feel, of course, especially for women, but I think a lot of men also see the world and they think, what is going on? And I think a lot of it built on an old system, the patriarch. Do I dare say it? So I believe we should move more to a transitional phase, and with Bitcoin as a standard, to a more matriarch, not soft, but nurturing, and, loving and gentle. And then with Bitcoin, and then the two can blend again. Everything is built on the patriarch, and it's old, and we're all tired.
True.
So thank goodness for Bitcoin.
Indeed. And I mean, on the aspect that you mentioned, obesity, which is a huge problem, especially in the US, which I'm sure a lot of people know. That essentially, it's funny how the US is trying to democratize so many countries, but not focusing on its own. May it be the
Hmm.
drug problem, may it be, I mean, just like there's so many issues, and obesity is a huge one. How many people are every day dying in the US from obesity? And I think that main kind of catalyst for that is this consumerism mindset: buy, buy, buy,
Mm.
buy. And then fantastic marketing. Oh, the burger is 1+1, until
Yeah.
tomorrow, come and
Mm.
get your burgers. And it's, that's not the right way to live your life. And,
No.
you suddenly have this change in kind of Bitcoin is this like these reality check glasses. When you put them on, you realize that pretty much everything is a lie. And like, the way the life should be is much more simpler. And as you mentioned, Caroline, kind of down to earth, people should, become more grounded and focus on being better in mental wise, being better in fitness wise, may that be exercising or just taking up a sport
Mm.
or doing something for yourself instead of just sitting in front of the TV and
Yeah.
smashing these bags of popcorn.
Yeah, they're feeding us all the wrong stuff because it's all money, money, money,
It
isn't it?
is.
It's like a money world, and yeah, we've lost contact with the essence of why we're here.
Mm.
You
But
know,
there's
to
a reason for
be.
this, Caroline, don't you think? It's all part of brainwashing. It's all part of
It
dumbing
is.
down humanity so they can trickle away
Yeah.
and make their
Mm.
millions, billions,
Yeah.
gazillions. Uh, which, to be
Absolutely.
honest, I never understood why these people at the upper echelon want all this money. Because my father always said, you enter this world butt naked and you leave it butt naked. You're not taking this money anywhere. Uh,
Exactly.
but they have their own delusion and illusion, may I say, where they think, they're the tsars of the world by, having all this control. Uh, but deep
Mm.
down, I think those people are also, if not even unhappier than us, trying to
Yeah.
manipulate everything. And then Bitcoin is this kind of, the, you know, people like calling Bitcoin the bubble. And I say it, Bitcoin's not the bubble, Bitcoin's the pin, which is going to burst the bubble. And, you
Exactly.
suddenly have this
Mm.
way to opt out. And when what Satoshi did with the white paper and the Genesis block is fascinating, and it will never be recreated. Ever since then, we know these gazillions of different, as some
Yes.
people, and I like to call them as well, shit coins, but I just call it the crypto casino, where you
Yes.
go and everything's the next best Bitcoin, where faster transactions, where this, that. But at the end of the day,
Mm.
they're just digital fiat. They're basically they're centralized. They have a controlling body. But whereas Bitcoin, there's no CEO, there's no like controlling central body uh, that takes a take on it. I don't know if any listeners to the show have read, or if you read, Caroline, the book that came out, I believe in 2019, the block size wars, right? When we had
Mm.
essentially the fight to take over Bitcoin, with when I believe 70 or 80% of the main mining companies got together and tried to increase the block size to have more transactions come through. And even though 80% of the miners that controlled the network were unsuccessful in taking it over. And that was
Wow.
kind of,
Yeah.
in my eyes, probably one of the last, if not the last, potential try to take over and change Bitcoin. Because from now on, it's not going to change anywhere. And I think the more that nation states come in, and El Salvador is a fabulous example, showing to the
Yes.
people and the world how
Mm.
a little tiny country, from being one of the most dangerous
Mm.
countries in the world, is becoming
I
very
know.
fast one of the most prosperous countries in the world. And what the good old Bukele has done in just a
Yes.
matter of a few years, it's fascinating. And I truly believe that a lot of Latin American countries and other third world countries in Africa at large
Yeah.
are following it closely and are kind of
Yeah.
doing their own plans how they can change their country for the better system. And especially countries that are still dependent on the US dollar, which is crippling them and enslaving them with debt, and making their whole nation's life miserable. They're kind of sitting there scratching their heads like, maybe we ditch the dollar and we adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Maybe, life can't get any worse, right? So why not do the change?
Exactly. Yes. yeah, I think President Bukele's done an amazing job, super courageous and brave, and
Mm.
yeah, I love watching, following Max and Stacy, and
The two biggest ambassadors of
yeah,
El Salvador. But you know, I love Max. You know, Max is a bit of, and since you're English, you'll definitely get this. He's a bit of Mermite, right? He's either you love him or you hate him. There's no middle, and he's like his passion. It's like it's very in your face. He's like, hey, like go get it, like don't you get it? He's like this
yeah,
little bolt, you know, like how
yeah,
lightning network's a bolt. Like I see him as
yeah,
a bolt. He's like this burst of energy.
yeah,
But I remember
yeah.
watching. I lived in London myself. I did my studies in London, and I remember watching RT and the Max Kaiser show. And he was shilling Bitcoin for a decade. Like when it was $1, he was telling people like, buy it. It's $1. You know, like go do
I
it. Like don't be
know. Oh my
stupid. And
gosh.
like everybody was
Yes.
like, Max, this absolute nutcase. But look at
Yeah.
Max,
Yeah, but
probably a
afterwards they regret
multi-billionaire.
it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. They're well over. But do you know what I like about the Bitcoiners? We stay humble.
Mm,
They all stay humble. The
yeah.
real, you know. And I think, yeah, that says a lot. You know,
Well,
they
I mean, in Max's case, living in El Salvador, and I'm sure he doesn't drive a Lambo in his flip-flops, right? Like he's very down to earth, and what he's
yeah,
done and kind of orchestrated this whole volcano energy project where, I mean, just think about it. 10 years ago, if someone would have told you, Caroline, like imagine
I
mining
know.
Bitcoin on a volcano using volcanic energy, which will be running
Yeah.
for the next thousands of years.
Yes.
People would say, no, that's
Genius.
a bit sci-fi. But today we already see it happening. And I mean, it's crazy. And the more kind of renewable energy that sustains the Bitcoin network,
Mm.
it like I really hate when people say Bitcoin is kind of ruining the world and contributing to global
Yeah.
warming. It's a
Mm.
it's a bag of BS, because if you look at the main big Bitcoin companies, they for a long time have been transitioning to clean energy, because also for them financially it doesn't make sense to be burning dinosaur juice
No.
to be running ASICs machines. And
Exactly.
it's really hard and very expensive, especially with inflation, to be starting green projects, maybe solar farms or wind farms or hydro projects. But now, by just implementing and doing a section of mining, Bitcoin mining specifically on it, suddenly you can get back the money that you invest into these green projects much faster. And actually, Bitcoin is pushing by far the most green energy compared to any European Greenpeace initiative, whatnot, which is mumbo jumbo, all a show. But in reality, they're not doing nothing. They're just taking their cuts and playing the
Yeah.
victims. And
Mhm.
it's fascinating. And I think we'll just see more and more of that as we go forward, even past the halving. People seem to
Mm.
forget that the halving that's happening now, that's only the fourth halving. And I'm sure
I
most
know.
listeners don't know this, and I don't know, do you know, Caroline, how many halvings are going to be in Bitcoin's history? How many halvings are programmed into the system?
I think 32. The last one's in 2140.
So 32, a little bit less. So there's going to be 32 halvings. And if you
Yeah,
zoom out
32. Yeah.
and if you look, it's only the fourth one, not 14th, not 30th.
No.
It's the fourth one. And people are like, oh, mining's going to be unprofitable. People don't understand. No, like, yes, the issuance halves, but also the purchasing power goes astronomical. So the further we go, I mean, Bitcoin, in my opinion, will always be profitable, especially if you do it smart and you take care of your running expenses. But I think it'll be a long, long time until Bitcoin becomes unprofitable. And the last Satoshi that we estimate that's going to be mined in the year of 2140, long after we're gone from this planet,
I know.
we have
Yeah.
a long way to go.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. I just think that is mind blowing. And we're still early, because I remember when I got in 2018, I thought, yeah, okay, I missed the 400 boat and I've missed the $100 boat. But I didn't mope around. I just thought, right, jump on, because that it's going to go to the moon. There's only 21 million. I thought, hello. And I'm not a mathematical genius, but I figured it out. So if you're listening, 21 million, it's a no-brainer. Don't go out for dinner. Don't go out for a drink. Don't buy your weekly coffee. Start stacking sats. Really, really, really. And we're still so early.
Pass on that £7 Starbucks venti mochaccino and right, and have it. Like, it's funny when people go, I don't have money to put into Bitcoin, yet they're there Instagramming themselves with a massive mug of super overpriced
exactly
crappy coffee
and sugar to the eyeballs.
Yeah. And I agree with you on the super early part. I mean, it's funny, no matter what price you get in at Bitcoin, you always think it's expensive. Like, I've even, spoken personally to people that bought Bitcoin at $200, and they were like, wow, like it was a few cents and I was paying $200 for it. But then the longer you are in it, and this 4-year cycle really, how should I put it? It really like calms you down. You're not obsessed with the price, right? So if you pass the 4-year cycle without selling, just hodling, kudos to you, because then from then on it just gets easier and easier. And recently, the other night, I was listening to one of the what Bitcoin did, Peter McCormack's podcast, and he had a guest on, which was saying that getting into Bitcoin now at 63, 65,000, in the future when Bitcoin's $5 million and 65,000 will be moving in a matter of minutes, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm down 65,000. You're still going to be well off. So just get in now, get in off this zero, and then enjoy the ride. And as the saying goes, stay humble and stack sats.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So I guess my other question is, there's a lot of synergies between your kind of simplifying and being a lifestyle designer, as you like to refer to yourself, and being a true Bitcoiner. There's a lot of these synergies. It's not like this is me during this time, this is me during this time. It's kind of an interwoven journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. It's just because sometimes I get, but what tidying or decluttering got to do with Bitcoin? But it's a blending of, why would you want to live? I can't envisage that because, I always say to people, okay, how does it feel before and after? What's better, the before, living in chaos and the energy being really low, or coming into a room where you're surrounded by things that spark joy? And they will say, the after. It's always the second one. And it's the same, for me with Bitcoin as well. It's sorting out your money, it's sorting out your finances, it's becoming or moving towards a financial independence, which is a huge thing for women. We're only coming onto the stage really in the past 100 years. So it's been a male show for thousands.
For way too long.
So I'm all for, and the equality bit kicking in, and own some. Even if it's not for you now, for later on, for your kids, your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, just hodl it and think long term, 4 to 10 years, and
for sure.
Sail through. You have to sail through the storms as well. It's not just an easy ride, and but if you know how to do it, you'll come out on the other end and you'll be a happy bunny.
Yeah, and just to add, Caroline, to that, which I totally agree. You mentioned in the beginning the pain factor, and I like that saying, no pain, no gain, right? Like, nothing's really easy in life. So if you can pull through it, it's definitely happy days down the line. And I couldn't agree more about the kind of the life saving for your kids and future generations. I mean, I have 2 young daughters of myself, and the DCA that I do on a monthly is their future. It's not just my future. It's the whole kind of our future generation. So when the girls grow up, they'll have the full freedom to do whatever they want to do, and it's not kind of compromising. Oh, can she go study this? Can she get these lessons? Can she really pursue what she wants to do in life? And yeah, well, gosh, in 15 years, I think they'll be pretty comfortable with their life choices. And I think
Yeah,
everybody can do that for themselves as well, even now at 63,000, because in 15 years' time, it's definitely not going to be in 5 digits. It's definitely going to be in 6, if not 7 digits.
yeah, yeah. I know, it's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the factor of this 21, which to me, that was, Caroline, kind of the big like light bulb moment, which people still don't seem to understand, that kind of there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin, and there is well over 8 billion people of us. And if you divide
Mm,
21 million by 8 billion, uh, I think recently someone did that calculation on Twitter, but I think it's something about like
mm,
200,000 sats per person. Uh, so
mm.
even if you get to, which you mentioned, this zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin being a million, Satoshi millionaire, you already you have 5 times the average person's, worth of
Yeah,
Bitcoin. So it's not even
yeah,
getting to this whole coiner, which in the future, if you're a whole coiner, you're definitely the elite, because most people won't be able to buy it. And who knows if there'll even be supply, because now, especially with the ETFs and the big greedy Wall Street guys that are coming in every day,
I know.
they're buying up much more than the issuance is currently, which is 900 Bitcoin a day, and next week it's going to
Mhm.
be 450 a day. And I
Mm,
think this price squeeze, and Samson Mao, which I'm sure the founder of Jan3, which Caroline, he's been tweeting about this Omega candle, and I think this Omega candle is coming in very soon, because once the supply and exchanges dries up, the demand's still going to be there, but the supply is going to be teeny weeny with
yeah,
450 Bitcoin
yeah,
a day.
yeah.
Uh, Poof, that $1 million Bitcoin is going to come much faster than people anticipate. People say in a decade, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be a decade. I don't think it's going to be a month, but definitely not a decade. In a couple of years, we could see some very, very significant numbers. And at the same time, I don't like talking too much about price on my show. It's more about people's stories, and how Bitcoin is changing you
Mm,
to be a better human. But
yeah.
and I
Oh
tell
my gosh.
people, don't worry about the fiat price. Bitcoin's always going to be one Bitcoin, so that doesn't change, which is super important. So focus on stacking Sats, and yeah, pricing everything on in Satoshis, and transforming to a Bitcoin standard. That would be a beautiful, beautiful world. And I think eventually we will get there. I don't know how soon. It definitely will take time, because the legacy system and the corrupt kind of elites will try to hold on for dear life to kind of milk
Mm,
it as much as they can. But sooner or later, those guys, like in all things in life, life starts, life finishes. Once they're gone and the next generations take those power positions, there's a high chance they're going to be full on, orange pilled Bitcoiners, and they're going to be looking, to price everything in Bitcoin. So, as much as we don't have too much hope on the future of our world, I like to look at it as the glass is half full, not half empty. So I do have dear hope. And in my native country, we have a saying, hope dies last. So I'm very hopeful on the future that lies ahead.
yeah. I think, we're all responsible. We all have to take responsibility for our planet. We only have one,
That's true.
and she needs to be looked after. And we need to transition, and Bitcoin's, allowing us to do that. And yeah, bringing
Bitcoin's the
more of
Noah's
it.
Ark,
The
right? Like, you better get
nurturing
on the Ark.
feminine.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, and
because the flood is
blend it
coming.
more. Exactly. Yes. Oh, I could shout it from the rooftops. But some people they don't, and that's all right. I just say, okay, that's fine.
So,
So
so tell me, Carolyn, I'm sure with incredible women that you've helped and kind of opened their eyes to the beautiful possibilities of Bitcoin. I'm sure you have one or two, like your personal favorite, like success stories of how their lives have changed since they kind of gone down the rabbit hole. Do you care to share, or? I mean, if you want to
Yeah,
keep it
well,
confidential,
most
that's
of them,
fine
of
as
course,
well.
no, that's all right. But most of them, of course, came in late, so they're now beginning to feel. As we were going down, I said, okay, you need your diamond hands. So
Mm.
you're not going to sell. We're not going to panic sell, but you're going to keep buying as we go down in the bear market. You know, when it was 15,000, 16,000, you've got to buy the dip.
Mm.
And they did. They all listened. So they've been doing their dollar cost averaging and everything. And so now they're beginning, because then you decrease your buying moment, yeah, because then you get an average purchasing price for your Bitcoin. So that's what we've been doing with most of the Bitcoin queens. And now they're beginning to feel, and of course we're getting excited for the halving, and not that it's going to shoot to the moon straight away. I always say, you know, it's not going to just be, you know, then that's it. So they're going to be ups and downs, but we're going to ride those waves. But they'll start feeling that euphoria that I had in 2020, 2021. But there was one lovely story of a Bitcoin queen, and she purchased some Bitcoin in 2018 when I was getting in. There was a group, and I said, I think you need to, you know, be wise to invest, you know. And she did. Completely forgot about it. Heard about me, that I was like, you know, becoming more and more in the picture again and helping women. And she DM'd me, can't remember which platform it was, and she said, okay, wow, I've completely forgotten about my Bitcoin. It's on some kind of exchange, don't know. Anyway, so I helped her, and she looked at it and she went, wow. She was really tickled pink. She said, oh my God, you're an angel. So that's a nice story. You know, they're really great testimonials, and yeah, she was super happy, and yeah, is now one of my Bitcoin queens. So I've got a really nice, you know, small community, but yeah, they're
A loving
lovely.
one. I mean, that's an amazing story, and probably that Bitcoin queen did the best thing she could by forgetting about it and not, you know, kind of seeing the price go down and having sleepless nights and questioning what should I do. She kind of just bought it,
Exactly.
forgot about it, and then
Yes,
sometime later, when, as you said, wow, what a move.
yes, yes, yes. So
Amazing.
she was very
So,
grateful. Yeah.
so looking ahead, Caroline, kind of what are your aspirations and goals for the Bitcoin for Queens, and how do you envision continuing your support and empowering women in the realm of Bitcoin? Because you mentioned it's a small community, but I guess you do want to help out more women, and kind of what's next for you on the agenda?
Yeah. Well, for me, you know, they have a membership with me. So then a yearly membership, they come in, I help them set up. You know, never ever pushy or anything. I'm here to help.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, I like to stack my stats as well, so they pay a contribution. And yeah, for me, it's about building the community, empowering women, and making them realize, okay, I can do it easily. It's not complicated, because I do the work, I do the research, and I read all the books and follow, you know, the experts online and Twitter and listen to podcasts. So I do the work, and they just want to then continue doing their job and their career, but have Bitcoin on the side as their investment.
Hmm.
So I then tip them and say, okay, you know, there's a dip like now. There's a dip. So we've had a dip. If you've got any, you know, money available, and I always say only invest what you can miss, and you don't need for, you know, your daily living
Your
life
next mortgage
expenses.
payment next month.
Exactly. Unless you want to go all in, which is also fine, you know, but yeah. Um, so yeah, to build a community and make women more and more aware, with or without me, that it is major importance now in our day and age, as to where women are, to become more financially independent and have our slice of the big cake. Yeah, because money's always been in hands of the men, for, you know, than for us. So this is our time. So I would encourage women to look into it, find somebody you trust, and yeah, dip your toe. Then you go, whoop, the whole body goes in.
That's true. You miss the kiddie pool. You go straight to the deep end of the pool as soon as you dip that
Yeah,
toe.
dive in deep. Yeah, yeah, just jump, and the net appears. It is. It'll be okay. Yeah, you'll be all
So,
right.
and since I mentioned in the beginning in your introduction, Caroline, you kind of live in between the UK and the Netherlands. Do you also do like some sort of like meetups or like gatherings for your Bitcoin queens or just general people that are interested about Bitcoin, or that's not really your thing?
Yeah, yeah. We have little meetups here in the Netherlands. Um, and I do Zoom. We sometimes have like Zoom, like the halving party. We might do a Zoom then, like today or tomorrow. So I
Yeah.
had it planned for tomorrow. So, and then we come on to Zoom because we're all over the place, and then we
Hmm.
raise a glass. So yeah, we do that. I've started doing little, and I like to think of it when Bitcoin started out, and what was his name? They had their first Bitcoin conference. I think there were about 10 people in the room or something.
Yeah.
And the guy was on the stage. I
Andreas
can't, I
Antonopoulos.
can't exactly. I can never pronounce his name. I do apologize.
I lived in
But
Cyprus, so I find it easier to pronounce that surname.
okay, yes. So I think, well, I'd like to think that women are becoming more curious and want to move and create their own mini revolution within the revolution. So yeah, I'm going off to the Bitcoin conference in Amsterdam this year. So I already got my ticket, and yeah, so maybe yeah, I'll organize something. But yes, so I do.
It is. No, it's good because, sometimes it does feel lonely to some people, just being in this Bitcoin realm online, and then kind of they have no one to discuss it in person, because we are human at the end of the day. We need that
Yeah,
social interaction, and you know it's
absolutely.
not that easy to find someone that understands Bitcoin and communicate. And I mean, it's a whole different experience where you're sitting down having a latte or a pint, whatever your thing is, no discriminations. Uh, it kind of makes you feel that you're not the only one. And yeah,
Yeah.
I try and push everyone who doesn't. I mentioned Cyprus, so I was born and raised, lived most of my life in Cyprus, and I started back in 1st of December 2017. I started Bitcoin Club Cyprus, and we used to have weekly
Mm.
meetups. So this was before I was married and had kids and everything. There was a lot more time on Gigi's hands, and every Wednesday 6 to 8 we'd go to a different pub, have a pint. It was mostly, as you can imagine, it was men's gatherings, and we would
Hey.
we would talk all things Bitcoin. Even though we did sometimes have women, but I'm sure you wouldn't be shocked. Like sometimes women were discouraged to come to the meetup because it was only men. So it's nice that there's more women, so that they kind of don't feel alone or kind of outcast. Like, oh my God, there's men. Like, what's going to happen there? That it's a
Mm.
neutral ground. and
Yeah.
and to me, I think in every, well, not relationship, but like any company, it's important to have an equal mix of women and men, because our brains are most definitely wired different and we see problems and solutions differently. The same thing goes to
Yeah.
Bitcoin. The more
Mm.
women we have in the space, who knows what next things they can build on top of Bitcoin, integrate into Bitcoin. Instead of just us men looking at it from this side, let's bring in the women, so we look the other side and build it together in all sides, because it's
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
exclusive to one sex only. And
Mm.
it's nice, finally, as you said, kind of women are always, men were always above women, but now Bitcoin, neutralizes that and makes into a linear thing. I think on a Bitcoin standard, women are not going to get paid less than men, like we did in the current financial system, which I find it
Mm.
ridiculous, because women put in the same hours and perhaps even more effort than men, and they get paid less. Uh,
I know.
Super unfair. And
Not
I
really.
mean, I
Yeah.
still don't know to this day why that happens still in the year of 2024. We're not in medieval times with kings and lords where they choose who they give their gold coins to. Uh, but I guess that's how it's been. And, the saying goes, it's always been like this. So that's the way it is. But now,
Because
ladies and
we're
gentlemen,
built on the patriarch. The whole
Correct.
system's been built on the patriarchal system. So that's, and I know in human design I'm a manifester. Don't know if you know anything about human design, but anyway, so I initiate other things, and it's this matriarch keeps coming past, and it's not to eliminate men, but it's a change in the system. It's building over what the patriarchs built, but different energy, and that transition could take a couple of 100 years.
Yeah.
But that's what's needed in order to balance it all more out again. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we're getting there. We're making steps, but we're not as equal as we should be, really.
Yeah.
But
yeah, correct.
We're getting there, and Bitcoin can help in the financial aspect of it all. Yeah,
for sure. And as the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a week, right? It takes a long time for paradigms to shift and for interest to change, but at least they are changing, and the world, in my eyes, is slowly going to get better than just kind of having no option and just, all hell loose, whatever, who cares what happens tomorrow. Bitcoin is that beam of light, of hope, and prosperity.
Yeah, we all want peace. Everybody wants peace. We all want to be loved.
True.
We all want to have a roof over our head, food on the table, and enjoy living life on this amazing planet.
Yeah, and enjoying every single moment of it, because life is very short. People forget how fast life goes by.
Yeah,
and
we're here,
and you want to enjoy it, because in the glimpse of things, the human average life of today, I would say 80 years. That goes by very fast. I mean, if you break it down into days, that's, I don't know how many, but pulling a number out of my head, but like 60, 70,000 days. And that's like nothing. And then you have days where you're just sitting and don't want to get out of bed, and you're just, under the duvets on your phone, flickering through your Instagram, your TikToks, just ruining your life away, where you could be doing something great. And with Bitcoin, you can really build whatever you want to do and sell your service or your product for Bitcoin. So it's not even a mindset of, oh, I need to get a crappy job, or, a less crappy job to make some money to save into Bitcoin. You can just be offering directly your service for Bitcoin. And there's so many new jobs that we can't even imagine right now that in the future will be possible, all enabled through Bitcoin. Because if you go back 15 years and you tell someone, hey, you can be a YouTuber and you can just make millions every year by sitting in your bedroom recording videos on your laptop and broadcasting it to the world, people would laugh at you. They would say, you're insane. Like, what are you talking about? And that is happening. And I'm not saying you should be a YouTuber. I'm just giving an example of jobs that can happen from technological evolution. And especially one point, which we don't talk too much on this podcast, but artificial intelligence, and this whole argument, especially last year, where, oh my God, AI is going to take over our jobs, and everything. I go, no. AI is going to make our life so much more easier, and it's going to empower humanity to do much greater things than us filling out an Excel sheet or spending 40 minutes compiling this super pooper email. You just let the language learning model do it for you in a millisecond, and then you focus on the important stuff. So humans will always have something to do. It's just the more we become advanced, the more, I would like to think, our jobs will become creative. And we will be going through this own renaissance of being artists in our own way, instead of being just a number in the system, being a slave, being a... No bad things against baristas, but like doing that latte 100 times a day. I mean, life is not that joyful. Yeah, you have some nice banter on the way with your favorite clients, but I mean, it's a pretty boring job. Or flipping burgers, or, I don't know, being a factory worker, welding the same wheel every day. That's not life, Like, life is there for you to be creative, and Bitcoin enables us to be creative. So yeah, I kind of want to summarize it on a more positive note, that, life is very beautiful, and Bitcoin allows you to really be the master of your own faith and go out and pursue the things you really want to do via Bitcoin, and you'll never look back at life again the same way. So don't think you need that 9-to-5 job and everybody going through the system of you need to go to university to get this fantastic job, which doesn't really exist, because I went through uni. I even have a master's degree, and I went totally different route. And the world is not the same anymore. The stuff you learn in uni, you finish life and then you're applying for jobs, and then they require you to have 5 years minimum experience in your field. And you're like, what? I don't have
What?
5 hours experience, let alone 5
No.
years. So
Yeah.
I think, even to the listeners who are kind of finishing school now, I don't know if we go that young yet, but at some point in the future, as the podcast expands, hopefully younger generations will be listening. I'm not advising you against your parents' advice, but don't think that uni is a must in life. Go out, get a job, learn for yourself, find the craft that you want to do, and just pursue it. Become better every day, and life will be much, much better than you thinking you need to get a law degree to work in some law firm, dealing with other people's problems and stress for some money that's melting away in your bank account, as Caroline perfectly quoted. So I think we touched upon a lot of interesting concepts on humanity and Bitcoin at large. Caroline, I guess what are your last kind of thoughts or kind of ideas you want to share with the listeners who perhaps, I don't know if we have any no coiners, but I guess at some point we will. People that are still on the sideline, what is your advice apart from getting up zero?
If you're sitting on the fence and you're umming and ahhing about it, you have nothing to lose. Just do it, And also in life, I'm 58, so I'm becoming more of a wise woman. With lots of experience. Always learn, keep learning every day. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who energize you, and make sure you become financially independent, because then you can make your own choices. You can decide where you live. You can choose who you want to be with, relationship-wise. That is for both, all genders. So, and stay true to yourself. And you have to look after number one, and you're number one. You have to make sure that you're okay. And and then you can keep your heart open, help others, and keep growing and keep following your purpose, your ikigai.
Amazing. Those are some wise words from you, Caroline, and I couldn't agree more. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you supposed to take care of the people around you? So as one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs goes, man in the mirror, if you want to make the world a better place, start from yourself and then take care of the rest. So there you guys have it. Take care of yourselves, and the world will be a better place. And I'd like to thank you, Caroline, so much for taking the time to come on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Like with all guests, you always have an open invitation to come back in the future, and our Bitcoin stories are only getting started. I'm sure in the future, as we progress into the fifth epoch, we'd love to have you back and discuss and see how Bitcoin for Queens is expanding and hear some more incredible stories. I guess the last question I would have is, where can we send our listeners to follow you and the amazing work that you're doing?
Okay, so you can find me on the bitcoinforqueens.com website. I have, things there, or you can contact me on my Instagram account, which is by Carolyn Chadwick, or Bitcoin for Queens. But so if you just Google that and carolynchadwick.com, that's also the KonMari, and I have 2 online academies. It's in English and in Dutch. I'm happy to have you on board and become part of our community of amazing women.
Amazing. Well, all those women listening, you don't have to rewind back to get those handles. I'll link them in the show notes. So just scroll down and you'll find them all. And Caroline, I'm wishing you all the best of luck with all of your endeavors. And once again, thanks so much for taking the time to come on the show today.
Thanks for having me. It was amazing. Thank you, Gigi. Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you so much. And there we